Coming up on today's episode, there's been some more Seth Rollins social media controversy. Edge will reportedly be in Houston this Sunday amid rumor of his return to the ring, and we've got a recap of last night's SmackDown.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk stacked news and stacked review. I am Chopper Pete Quinnell. The news is coming up later, but first let's kick things off with a recap of last night's SmackDown in about 5 minutes. And you'll have to bear with me today because I'm slightly ill and pretty delirious from a lack of sleep. The show started with a pre-announced 6-man tag match of King Corbin, Robert Roode, and Dolph Ziggler versus Roman Reigns and the Usos. This match got a lot of time, about 30 minutes, and before the first ad break, Jimmy Uso was escorted to the back because he tweaked his knee on a landing to the apron, which Ziggler then capitalized upon. What followed was a long beatdown of Jey Uso, with Reigns constantly denied the hot tag until finally he gets it, runs wild a little bit, but then the numbers catch up with him as Jey is taken out as well. But suddenly, it's Jimmy Uso, half stumbling, half running to the ring. He cleans house, occasionally selling the knee when he's not, doing big dives, and allows Reigns to brawl with Corbin out of the arena. Jimmy then hits a splash on Roode for the win. We're already going to be getting basically a 3-on-3 match on Sunday because it's a Falls Count Anywhere match between Reigns and Corbin, so the other cronies will be getting involved. So this was basically a preview for Sunday, and while the match was good, it was very long for just a preview of Sunday's match. Is this the same as what we've been getting for weeks? Yes. Up next, we had a promo from Lacey Evans with Michael Cole on the ramp, where she spoke about America and being a Marine, and America and being a mother, and America and probably salutes or something. Lacey had some real conviction behind her performance, doing the voice crack on the verge of tears thing really well. However, she did that voice for almost every single answer to every question, and it was a bit jarring to hear her almost break down in tears, talking about using her platform to raise others up. For Cole to then say, "Is that why you joined the Marines?" with absolutely no emotion whatsoever. And also then Lacey answered with zero trace of voice cracking. It was a really good performance, but also a really bad performance at the same time. This was weird. Bayley came out and attacked her from behind to end the segment. Is this the same as what we've been getting for weeks? Yes. Carmella and Dana Brooke are backstage next, and they're in the Royal Rumble, bringing the total number of announced female participants to 7. But they're interrupted by a continuing brawl from Lacey and Bayley, who are pulled apart by everyone there. Up next, it's Fire and Desire versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, except it isn't, because as soon as the match starts, Lacey and Bayley run down to the ring, continuing their brawl, and everyone starts fighting, and look, it's a preview for the Women's Rumble match. I guess that means Mandy and Sonya are also in it, so 9 participants. Just before that non-match started, Sonya and Mandy had a brief backstage bit where they said that Otis would not be joining them at ringside because it's Fire and Desire, not Fire and Desire and Otis. Please don't tell me they've dropped this story. The women's division got a grand total of 8 minutes there, by the way, but let's not have a proper match or anything because Elias needs to sing his song. Elias is in the ring next, does a quick song about the Rumble, and then says Braun Strowman needs to sing the next bit. And just as Strowman is getting amped up to start singing, he gets interrupted by Zayn, Nakamura, and Cesaro, and the tag match between Strowman and Elias versus Nakamura and Cesaro is made. This was a fairly standard match, with Elias eventually making the hot tag to Strowman, who ran wild, hitting everything in sight, before hitting a power slam on Cesaro, tagging in Elias, who hit an elbow drop for the win. I guess there's still no Intercontinental title match at the Rumble then? Better we made on the pre-show. Was this the same as we've been getting for weeks? Yes. Big E and Kofi Kingston cut a quick backstage promo about getting greased up or something. Corbin says he'll make Roman bow down to the king, and Sheamus is back in a dark room saying some stuff about Shorty G. Is this the same as what we've been getting for weeks? Yes, it bloody is. It's time next for Kofi Kingston versus John Morrison in what was actually a pretty fun match. Both of these wrestlers are so unique in the ring, and their athleticism showed. After Miz tried to blindside Big E at ringside, he received a Trouble in Paradise from Kofi, which allowed Morrison to capitalize on the distraction, hitting Starship Pain for the win. And this Starship Pain looked pretty good. He actually, splashed him this time. Good job, Morrison. And finally on this show, it's time for Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt's contract signing. Bryan comes out and says he's ready for Sunday, and then a Firefly Funhouse pops up on the screen, and Wyatt is saying he doesn't want to sign the contract. Bryan retorts that all he does is run from problems, and Wyatt then responds that he's not facing him, he's facing him, so he should sign the contract. The lights cut out and the Fiend is in the ring. He delivers a quick claw to Bryan, whips his back with the strap from the table, and signs the contract in his own blood. Okay, that was actually really cool. And that's how the show ended. Press the eye above my head to cast your vote on what you thought of the show, where you can choose from Smacknificent, Smacktastic, Smack Bang in the Middle, Smack Downer, and a Smack in the Face. As for my opinion of the show, well, this is a Royal Rumble go-home show, and there's nothing harmful about these shows. They are perfectly adequate, fine shows. But my god, they are so repetitive. Datsun and I predicted this entire show before it even aired, and the details of it, might be slightly different, but you know you're gonna get a Lacey Evans promo, a long segment with Baron Corbin in it, something with Strowman and Nakamura, normally involving Strowman winning, Elias sings a song, the women's division gets overlooked, Kofi Kingston and or Big E have a match against John Morrison and or The Miz, and Sheamus cuts a promo in a dark room. There's nothing damaging on these shows, but for a Royal Rumble go-home show, this was so incredibly underwhelming and so repetitive to the point where it was kind of boring. The Fiend and Daniel Bryan is of course the best thing on the show, but even that didn't really have the next layer of the feud. It was just the shock factor of the Fiend signing the contract in his own blood, and there was no Otis on this show. What are they playing at? This SmackDown gets a high SmackDowner? Is that a thing? It's a good 2 out of 5? I don't know. But it's Royal Rumble on Sunday, don't forget it, because they did. And now, as always, hot tag to me for the news. Before we get into the news, a massive thank you to Don't Have a Shane Cowley, man, for being an awesome pledgehammer on Patreon. Now, Seth Rollins is not cool. We all know that. He rides e-scooters and his Twitter game is not all that good. And there's been some more fuel to the Seth Rollins is not good at social media fire. But in fairness to him, this wasn't entirely his fault, but it also kinda was. Last night, Seth Rollins posted something up on his Instagram story which looked a little suspicious. What are those masked, hooded figures? Death Eaters from Harry Potter? Well, to some, the photo would appear to show 3 members of the white supremacist group, the Ku Klux Klan, who were known to dress in similar outfits to those shown in the picture. But unsurprisingly, that's really not what Seth was going for. A previous photo in his Instagram story showed him supporting the coffee business of a friend called The Boy and the Bear. And according to Seth, the photo, which he has now removed, showed 3 witches, and he was trying to help advertise a creepy coffee thing this friend of his is promoting. A fan came to the support of Seth on Twitter, saying, Seth Rollins was one of the first white athletes to say Black Lives Matter publicly. Y'all know damn well this wasn't the KKK he posted. Seth replied to his supporter with, it was witches, ... for a creepy coffee thing I'm helping my friend with. My apologies if anyone was confused. F the KKK, F racism. It seems like it was a genuine mistake and a genuine apology from Rollins, but it might behoove him going forwards to double check if the witches do look like something else that might compromise the creepy coffee thing he was going for. There's no comment yet on how Alexa Bliss has reacted to the creepy coffee situation. Speaking of bliss, and wouldn't it be bliss to just hear a countdown in the men's Rumble match on Sunday, followed by You Think You Know Me, and then everyone marks the hell out because Edge is coming back and it's definitely happening and there's nothing you can do to stop this hype train and I can't wait to see him. It's going to be the greatest thing in the world since ever. But WrestleTalk, you reported this story 8 times already this week. Well, actually, this one's a little bit different to the other ones because we now have confirmation that former WWE champion and legend Edge will be in Houston, the site of this weekend's Royal Rumble, amid speculation that he will return in the match. Wrestling News is reporting that they have confirmed with 2 sources that Edge is scheduled to be at the show on Sunday, though in what capacity we don't know. It could very well be for just the pre-show panel, but also it's totally going to be for the men's Rumble match and it's going to be great. The report states, I just confirmed with two sources that Edge is scheduled to be in Houston this Sunday night, the site of the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. The source I spoke to did not know what Edge would be doing on the show, but it looks likely that he will be a surprise entrant in the Men's Royal Rumble match. See, he's coming back. Totally. Confirmed. 100%. Edge was forced to retire in 2011 after suffering a series of neck injuries, and until SummerSlam 2019, he didn't take a single bump for over 8 years. However, rumors began that he could be set for a return when he speared Elias on the SummerSlam pre-show. He has denied these rumors over and over again, but PW Insider's Mike Johnson has been adamant that Edge will be returning in the match. As a non-active performer and not a frequent guest on WWE pay-per-view pre-shows, the fact Edge is making the effort to travel to Houston seems to be more than just a coincidence. Johnson and PW Insider have an excellent record of reporting backstage rumors, and Edge is hardly going to just tweet, "Alright lads, fine, you got me, I'm number 17 in the Rumble." Though, that is what CM Punk did, so now we're not getting Punk at number 28, thanks Twitter person Dan. Edge won the Royal Rumble match in 2010 when he also returned from an injury, though admittedly that wasn't after a nearly 9-year retirement. What we know from reports is that he did sign a new contract towards the end of last year, and that he is known to have traveled to Stamford, Connecticut, home of the WWE headquarters, and also the home of its doctors, and while Edge denies that he made any sort of medical visit, it's all adding up to him returning. I just can't wait for Edge to return and Baron Corbin to eliminate him and get the most nuclear heat possible. Imagine Edge comes back and immediately gets eliminated by Corbin. Baron Corbin versus Edge at WrestleMania? Shoot me. It's the Royal Rumble tomorrow, so press the videos to the right to watch Ollie and special guest Adam Blompier fantasy book the Men's Rumble match, and press the video below that to view our predictions at WrestleTalk for the show. A special thank you to our pledge hammers on Patreon, some of whom you can see scrolling below me right now. I've been Chopper Pete Quinnell, and that was wrestling.